Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40K Mordian Glory video. Before we get into the video, I want to say a super huge thank you to Bo Frankie, hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly there, for sending me in some pictures of his 2,000 point brigade list that he will be taking to a tournament. I think he sent his pictures on the 16th of July, so he's probably been to the tournament already. Hope he did really well. But I just want to say, absolutely fantastic looking Imperial Guard army. Probably using the Cadian Doctrine, but don't know for sure. Just absolutely really enjoy the look of this army. Really like the emphasis on light armor. You don't often see that in Imperial Guard, but you've got loads of armored sentinels, which I consider light armor, and you've got some of the little four-wheel buggies, the Taurus, I believe, and then just a smattering of heavy armor with 3 Leman Russes, so 9 light vehicles and 3 heavy vehicles, covered by artillery pieces. Overall, I think it's a really nice, interesting little list. In my personal taste, you could do with a little bit more infantry, but I can totally see how you're going to use things like Sentinels are actually quite good as screening. We talked about using vehicles as screening before. Absolutely fantastic. So really enjoy the very sort of traditional camouflage scheme for the Guardian. It's absolutely fantastic. And I just think the models themselves are just really well done. So absolutely super huge, well done, and super huge thank you for sending these pictures in. If any of you have any pictures that you want me to potentially use on my videos, then please post them to my Facebook page, Mordian Glory. I used to say send them to me in 100 different ways, but now I've just decided if you want me to look at your pictures or to answer any questions, Facebook's generally the best place to get me. But although obviously, of course, for questions related to the videos, please put those down in the comment section. So, let's get on to the meat and potatoes of this video. It's going to be a bit of a Genestealer cult video today, guys. But before you all switch off, it's also kind of reiterating one of my older videos about sort of 3-wave tactics, having waves of reserves coming in. Now, it's going to be with a focus on Genestealer cult today, but there are lessons, abstract lessons that can be learned from this video. So please feel free to listen, or if you're a puritanical guardsman at heart, please report me to the local commissar. Anyway, Genestealer cult. So 3-wave tactics. So basically, I have been slowly but surely perfecting my learning my Genestealer cult army, and it is a long process. It is a long process because the army is so different to anything that I've used before. It's so left of field, left of centre, whatever you want to call it. It's such a curveball. But one thing that I've found to be really important is to have these waves of hard hitting, absolute, just punishing units that hit your opponent. Now, if you're playing Imperial Guard, you could do this with Scions, for example. But the reason that Genestealer cult do it so well is because they're able to come in anywhere on the board from reserve from turn 1. So everyone else has to do turn 1 in their deployment zone now, as per the big FAQ. Genestealer cult are exempt from this. And it does present quite an interesting possibility. You can only do it with cult ambushing units, I should say. So no trying to Brood Brothers some Minotaur Tempests and getting some turn 1 deep striking in. Doesn't work. It's only cult ambush where they can do that anywhere they want from turn 1. Now, the problem with Genestealer cult and the problem with cult ambush has always been its reliability. So looking at the cult ambush table and someone who's played for 10 games now, I don't even know what 1 to 3 even do. All I know is that 1 to 3 are awful. Okay, as in you might as well have deployed your unit on the board from the beginning, because if you get 1 to 3, you're going to be so far, deployed so far away, you're just not going to be relevant. So you want 4, 5, or 6. Ideally, from a competitive standpoint, you want to roll a 6 in the cult ambush table. Okay, and the reason for that is that means you deploy 9 inches away, and then you're immediately allowed to move. Which means, and You know, that just means you almost guaranteed your charge distance. Almost guaranteed it. Now the problem is that getting that 6. Okay, getting that 6 is really it's just vital. Getting a 5 is okay. You get to deploy in and then shoot for free, or move D6 towards the enemy, and you know, possibly with a reroll you can make it work. But it's just tough. Okay. So how do you get your cult ambushes to reliably hit the enemy, and how do you retain the momentum turn after turn? Okay. How do you implement these wave tactics? Okay. Well, what you do is you use Primuses. Okay. Now, Primus is an HQ unit available to the Genestealer cult, and he's an alright close combat character. You know, he's got lots of he's got like a poison claw and a poison pistol, so he's always poisoning people on 2-ups. He generally hits on 2-ups. But what he's got, weirdly, he's got 5 wounds as well. He's really tough in terms of wounds. But what you take him for is he has the ability, like meticulous planning or something along that lines, and it lets you re-roll the dice for cult ambush if you attach him, because Genestealer cults, when you put one unit into ambush, you can attach a character to them so they both come in at the same time. So he lets you re-roll that dice, so that immediately improves your reliability, but it's not enough. Now, what you then in chapter approved, there's a stratagem, which is the name escapes me again, but it's like meticulous uprising again. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's really, if you go and check out the chapter approved, you'll find it straight away. And what that lets you do is it lets you roll 2 dice for the cult ambush table, unless you are using a Primus, in which case it lets you roll 3 dice for the cult ambush table. Okay? But if you roll 3 dice for the unit that you're bringing in alongside your Primus, the Primus allows you to re-roll those dice. So you get 3 chances, and then you get to re-roll as many of them as you want, and you can get another 3 chances. You're almost guaranteed to get that 6. And when you get that 6, that's absolutely vital. Okay? Because like I said, it just means it gets your units exactly where they want to be. Getting a 5 is okay, but getting a 6 is absolutely golden. And that, what you want to do is you want to take 3 Primuses straight up, and you want to take 3 units you want to put in cult ambush. You don't want to put more than 3 in. You just want to put 3 big proper units in cult ambush. And what you do is you each turn, because obviously you've got to bring your reserves in, all of them by turn 3. What you do is you bring one of these units in each time a turn. Okay. Now, it's really important. I know a lot of you were thinking, well, why not just bring all 3 in? Well, let me tell you, the number of Genestealer cult battle reports I've seen, and the number of times I've tried it, where you just don't, you roll your dice, and they get that one unit that they use with the stratagem and the Primus, that comes in where they want it, and the other 2 or 3 or 4 units they try and bring in turn 1 just come in all over the place. They don't do anything. They bounce off. They're out of position. They fail the charge. Blah blah blah, and it just screws them over. It just screws them over. Because people say you live and die on the cult ambush table. Okay, that's true. Then why are you fucking yourself with the cult ambush table? Okay, make it reliable. Be patient. Okay, remember this. Genestealer cults are, the fluff behind them is that they are patient. They're not like chaos cults, which rise up and just aggression and blah 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 blah, chaos. No, the Genestealer cult will take 10, 20, 100, 200 years. Some Genestealer cults have been around for hundreds of years, just slowly gathering power. Sometimes they're able to rise up sooner than others, but their thing is they're patient, and you must be patient on the tabletop. Because what you want to do is, if you bring in all 3 units straight away, and you're only able to accurately get one of them into play. So the other 2 units are essentially wasted. They're not doing anything unless you're very lucky. Okay, so what you're better off doing is bringing in each wave one at a time and making sure with each wave that you get them exactly where you want, and that will allow you each time to essentially deliver an alpha, a beta, a gamma strike. They will allow you to just keep that momentum going, and you will win your games more and more easily if you just practice your surgical strikes. And that's what they are. They're surgical strikes, like suicide. To put this to a guard point of view, it's like suicide scions. If you bring all your suicide scions in one go, it's overkill. You'll often find that, and I've said this before, you'll often find that your guys get left out of position, and then they die, and they didn't achieve as much as they could have done. It's the same with Genestealer Cult. Okay, bring your units in one at a time, exactly where you need them. Surgically remove that part of your opponent's army, which you will do if you take the right units. And then the next turn, bring in the next, because your units are safe when they're in reserve. They're safe. Okay, next turn, bring in the next unit. Surgically remove another part of your opponent's army. And then on the third turn, everything smashes and hit. Third turn, you do the same thing again, but by this time your other assault units, your land-based assault units, will also be in your opponent's face, and you will just crush them. You will just absolutely crush them. So, very quickly, you know what? We're not actually going to discuss this here. We're going to keep this. We're going to split. I was going to do a big long video on this, but I'm not going to. I'm going to split this up into several smaller videos. So what we're going to do is we've talked about the general idea of the 3-wave tactics. We've talked about how you can accurately call ambush 3 turns, 1, 2, 3, turns 1, 2, and 3. We've covered the Primus. We've covered the stratagems. We've covered keeping the momentum. We've covered about how important it is to have an accurate cult ambush rather than. It's basically, guys, it's really, really important. It's much, much, much more effective to have 3 accurate but smaller ambushes than it is to have 1 messy, inaccurate, ineffective ambush. Because Genestealer cults, they're not that numerous, guys. You're not really a horde army. You can take 100 guys. You'll have 100 guys in your list. But that's all you'll have. 100 infantry who are mostly toughness 3 with some toughness 4. Okay? Guardsmen take that. Guardsmen can take that and it costs them 400 points. Genestealer Cult takes that and it costs them 2,000 points. Okay? So just think about it. Why would you throw men away? Why would you? It's much more important that every bit is used correctly. And that's why Genestealer Cult are really hard armor to use. But they are more so than that. Basically, I'm going to finish on this. Genestealer Cult are how traditionally Dark Elder would play. In the hands of a good player, in the hands of a good opponent, and I'm only just getting to an okay level with them, but in the hands of a good player, they're filthy. Even as an index, they're filthy. Okay? However, you get one cult ambush wrong. You make a poor decision, and that's it. You could lose the whole game. I had a game this week where I won, absolutely smashed my opponent, as in he was tabled, down to I think a 4 mod, like down to a Dreadnought and Belial, and I still had, of my 100 men, I still had about 50 left. You see, it was just filthy. The week before that, I used the same list against the same opponent, and I lost. I basically got tabled myself because I made my first cult ambush that I did. I fucked up, and that's what punished me the rest of the game. So there you go, guys. We'll go into more detail in the next video. We might have a bit of a Genestealer cult week this week. Maybe, maybe not. We'll just see how it goes. We'll go into the next video, details on what are good units to use on these 3 waves, okay? But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope guard players have been able to take some notice from this. It's more important to have 3 accurate strikes than 1 massive mega strike in 8th edition. It's all about retaining the momentum, especially if you're playing Militarum Tempestus. I will be doing some Militarum Tempestus videos, by the way, guys. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.